Welcome back to the channel, guys. Sorry I've been away for a while. I've got lots happening, and we'll go through that at a later date anyway. Sorry if I sound bad. I've got the COVID-19 at the moment, and yeah, that's just, it is what it is. But first of all, I just want to say a massive shout out to Intima brake pads, Intima performance brake pads. Basically what happened was I put the pads on the car and I damaged the decal that I wanted to put on the car, obviously to rep the brand, and I contacted them to ask them if I could get another decal, and the legends severely hooked me up with 2 pairs of gloves, a t-shirt that has an R34 on it obviously, and some decals. So I was pretty wrapped with that. So go and give their page a follow and like, and anyone who hasn't used these brake pads before, I severely recommend them. They're so good. So I'm just stopping at Super Cheap Auto to pick up some brake fluid now. Obviously I think we've all used Super Cheap Auto at one stage or another. Now we're going to rock up to Scotty's workshop. I'm hunting for him here. He's got to be here somewhere, but basically I did a voiceover for this video originally, and then I changed it a little bit. So obviously there's Scotty there on the forklift. He's moving a bunch of stuff out of the way, and I can't thank him enough for this. He moved a bunch of stuff out of the way so I could get in there, so the car could get in there on the hoist. So yeah, the car's going up now on the hoist. Now, this is a good opportunity. If ever your car's on a hoist and you're allowed to go underneath it, I shouldn't have been underneath it when it was moving, but it's a good opportunity to get underneath and have a look at things, and just make sure that everything is the way it's meant to be. I know that I've got a bit of a power steering leak at the moment, but apart from that, I'm just banging on the cat and the mufflers at the moment, just to, I can hear a bit of a rattle when I drive sometimes. But there's the steering rack there, and there's the leak. Now me and Scotty did try and identify where the leak was coming from, but we weren't able to. We had too much stuff on. So again, my shocks are pretty shot, if I'm honest. We'll need to put the S-Tune ones on them shortly. So that's it there. Let's get into obviously removing these rotors and brake pads. You can see the pads there, they look fairly scored. I'm not sure if they can be salvaged, but obviously you guys know how to take a wheel off. It's not overly too difficult. So yeah, basically first things first, take off the wheel and have a look around, and see if you can identify anything that may be an issue as well. I was looking around to see if I could see anything. So first we're going to remove the brake pad retainer spring slash clip, and that's a fairly easy job. So basically it's just a clip that has 2 holes there that you just take out. Now generally once you take this out, it's quite easy to remove the rest of it, which is obviously the brake pad position bolts. Now sometimes when you take these out, there's 2 on each side. Sometimes when you take these out, the retaining clip will fly off. Not all the times, but sometimes it will. In this particular case it did. Look, by all means, Scotty's not a mechanic and neither am I, but and we don't always have the great tools, but that was the retainer clip that just flew off there. So obviously the next step is to remove the retainer clip, and you can see it on the ground there. So remove the 2 positioning bolts. Now once that's done, you need to remove the brake pads. So removing of the brake pads is fairly simple, and it's amazing how easy this job actually is. Once you do it once, you know how to do it for pretty much most cars. So you remove the brake pads, and I'm actually swapping mine out for a set of Intimas that I had on there beforehand. Scotty was surprised because he goes, that's got so much meat left on it, and yet my rotors were so warped it felt like my bones were shaking every single time I broke. But if we're going to replace the rotors, replace them with brand new brake pads, it makes sense. So yeah, Scott's like, there's so much meat left on these, so I've kept them aside anyway just in case. Now it's a good idea to have a bit of a look around when you take them out, just to have a look at the condition of the caliper as well. And it never hurts to give it a good bath with some brake cleaner as well, just to see what's going on. And obviously we're going to be undoing the bolts now. There's 4 in total, so we're going to remove the 12mm brake line bracket bolts. You don't actually need to do this part, but we did it anyway. This is the first time I've done R34 brakes, and this is the first time Scotty's done R34 brakes, so it makes perfect sense to obviously remove things that you're not sure of what's going on. So again, we don't have all the tools that I guess the mechanical workshop would have, but at the same token, it's a good learning process for me, and it's a good learning process for Scotty as well. Not that he has an R34, but I do, so it makes sense for him to help me work on it. So other than that, it's not too difficult to remove these bolts. They can be a little bit stubborn. Some WD-40, some degreaser will help, or brake cleaner, whatever you prefer to use. But other than that, now we're going to remove the 22mm caliper bolts. You may need a breaker bar for this. We used one. I forgot to record it, but then just got Scotty showing where they are here. There's one there, and there's one on the top where he originally pointed to as well. So we used a breaker bar originally, and now we just got the impact gun on there just to get them out. Again, this can be a bit fiddly. For the most part, it's not too difficult. I was trying not to get in Scotty's way when I was doing this, but I think I failed a little bit there as well. I was constantly getting in the way. But look, so it's not overly too difficult to do, and as I said, providing you've got some, I guess, common hand tools, then it's quite easy to do. So now we're going to hang the caliper with a bungee cord or something like a hook that Scotty's got. That's it there. I've just got it sitting on the suspension spring. Yeah, why not, basically. So the next part basically is going to show you how we actually hung it up there, and how Scotty mounted it. Like I said, this isn't a difficult process. It can be a little bit fiddly and a little bit time consuming, but for the most part, I think you guys get the general gist of what I'm trying to do here. So take off the caliper, obviously, and then brake cleaner the area, which Scotty absolutely loves doing. I'm just fast forwarding a little bit at the moment, guys, because once you take off the caliper, yeah, the rotor just comes straight out. So I'm just fast forwarding certain parts of the video because I don't want this to go for too long, but I really want to show you guys the basics. Obviously, I'm not a Chris Fix, and I'm just glancing at my suspension again there. But next part is place the new rotor on the hub. It's pretty self-explanatory. These are directional rotors, so you'll need to check the inside of the rotor. It says RF, which means for right front, especially when you're dealing with R34s that have different size calipers or different size rotors on the front and rear. Now, once that's done, you're going to compress the caliper pistons. Now, compressing the caliper pistons is fairly easy. Scotty just used a set of vice grips to kind of push them in there. Look, it's a bit brutal. It's not the like, I guess the classiest way of doing it, but it worked. And we do what works on this channel. We don't muck around with stuff like that. So once that's done, you can see that obviously the pistons are pushed back in, and if you're wondering like what that stuff is there, we've got no idea, but it's not doing any harm, so we left it there. And obviously you can see 2 pistons per side of the caliper, which makes these a 4-pot/4 piston rotor, or caliper, sorry. Next part is putting the new brake pads in. As I said, I went back to Intimas. This is my 3rd or 4th time using them. Absolutely love them. Such a good brake pad, and I'm not just plugging them because they sent me some free stuff. I would have done that anyway. And pretty much, if you get confused with this part here, my advice to you is take a picture before you remove them from the car to begin with. Now he's putting the positioning bolt in there to obviously line it up, make sure it's lined up, I guess as straight as it can be. He's realized that one of the pistons wasn't compressed enough, which is why that's just slid in there effortlessly. And you do the same on the other side. He's given it a bit of a tap there, then you put the retaining clip back in, and you put the bolts then through, because that's what holds it down. And then after that, it's pretty much just as simple as putting that first initial spring in, and you're pretty much good to go. It's not overly too difficult. He's just giving it a bit of a tap there, but again, this is not a hard job to do. It can be a little bit fiddly and time consuming, but these are your brakes, you want to make sure you get it done correctly. That's why, if you're not confident, honestly, I recommend you don't do this. Take it somewhere and get it done professionally. But from as far as I can tell from what we did, it's not difficult. If you take everything off and put everything back the way it was, it will be fine. The next part, the biggest problem you're probably going to face is bleeding the brakes, and we'll get to that shortly. So Scotty's just putting the flathead in there to position them exactly where they need to be, but it's fairly simple to do. Next, we're going to bleed the brakes. I wasn't able to take good video of this because obviously I needed to be in the car whilst the brakes were bleeding. So on the back of your calipers, you're going to have a brake fluid line bleed valve. You can either take this off or just undo it slightly. I think we just took them off from memory. But look, the principle behind it is basically you've got air in your brake lines, and you need to get the air out so the fluid is able to be compressed effectively to obviously compress the pistons onto the rotor. So basically you're just going to get the fluid and air out, and the way it works is Scotty's going to adjust it from the bottom, and I'm going to pump the brake pedal. You can see I'm on the hoist at the moment. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to push it down until the brake pedal gets firm, and when it's firm, Scott's going to release the valve, and then my foot's going to fall straight to the floor. Now again, we're going to pump him up, and then it's going to get really firm, and then he's going to release the valve, and my foot will go straight to the floor. And that's pretty much all you need to do. It's a lot easier doing it with two people. But look, I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's pretty boring, but now we're going to move on to the test drive. Scotty put his hand up to do this. What a good friend, right? Just in case they don't work, he prefers himself to die than me. But let's watch what happens. So that's it, guys. You heard, obviously, Scotty said the brakes feel incredible, and they really do. We've put the spoiler back on the car now too, and changed over the boot lid, so the other one's been sent off to get fixed. Another thank you to Intima. Appreciate them sending me some stuff, and obviously just making some really cool brake pads that are very cost effective and work very well. But that's it from me, guys. Let me know if you want any questions. Don't forget to like the video if you can. And everyone take care and all the best.